It's time for the last regular block of our Spring Showers quilt. No Rain, No Flowers is on row 4, block 6. The No Rain, No Flowers block is on page 61. The background fabric has interfacing fused to the back. I have the batting, and all the materials that will be used also have interfacing on the back. Let's get started. This is the last regular block of the Spring Showers quilt. I will be making a few changes, but this block will not need color sorting. I will bring in the background quilting first. You can use the Merge Stitch file to find your file. I will open my Kimberbell Spring Showers folder, and I will go to the Quilting Bundle folder, and I will be using Weather 1, and I need the 6x6 vertical design. I will drag and drop it into the hoop. I will go back to the Embroidery Files folder and find the No Rain, No Flowers block and drag it into the hoop. The first change I'm going to make is to the background quilting. I will expand the steps, and as I have in other blocks, I am going to delete step 2, which is the tack down of the batting. I don't need this step because I cut my batting exactly to size. And then step 3 is the placement line for the fabric. It's only 1/4 of an inch past the batting, and our fabric is much larger, so as long as we place the fabric centered over the batting, we can skip this step. I will select the first, hold down the Shift key and select the second, and hit delete on my keyboard. Now I have the first step, which is the placement for the batting. The second step is the tack down of the fabric, and then the background quilting. I'm going to move this background quilting off to the side so that while I work on this block, it will be easier to see. Using the Stitch Simulator, let's look at how this block is stitched out. The first steps will be the background quilting, and then it starts on the flowers, and it will do the placement for that first flower, the tack down of the fabric, as well as the decorative outline. Then it will move on to the next flower and do the same steps. Now the third flower and the fourth flower will be done at the same time because they are the same color. So it will do both placement, then both tack downs, and then finally the outline stitch. And the same with the last 2 flowers. It will do them together, the placement, tack down, and outline. Then the next stitch will be the decorative fill for all of the flowers. Now this block has dark thread that is used to stitch the flower centers. And I'm not wild about the dark thread in the flowers. So I'm actually going to change the thread to a light color, and I might even use a metallic silver or a metallic gold. I mentioned before that the colors that are in the design aren't necessarily the colors that you will use to stitch your actual project. Kimberbell is really good about using the actual colors, and so I don't have to do anything with this color. I just need to put in whatever thread that I want to use. However, just so that I can see it a little bit better, I am going to go ahead and find that step, which is the step number 13, and it's the dark shadow color. I'm going to change that to maybe a white or light color just so that I can have a little bit of contrast in my flowers. I'm just going to pick this light color called Seagull and select OK. So you can see the decorative fill, and they're just like cute little petals. Now the next thing I'm going to do is change the text. I'm going to keep the same words, but I'm not again, wild about the font of this text. So I'm going to add my own text to see if I can find something I like a little bit better. I will go to this A icon at the top toolbar, and that will give me a text box. I'm going to move it off to the side. And I was looking at some fonts earlier, and the font that I think I'm going to pick is this Designs by Juju Chester. I'm going to pick, I think, a 1.25 size. Then I will select the text and change it to No Rain and hit return. That might be a little bit big, so I think I'm going to go to the 1-inch size. I think that looks good. Now I want to point something out. When you're changing designs that overlap another design, you have to be very careful. Sometimes stitches underneath will not stitch completely out because they will be hidden. So before I decided to change this, because if I line this up, my N on the new font doesn't go up into the flower, so I need to make sure that this flower outline has been stitched completely and doesn't have open blank spots where the N covers it up. So in order to check that, I am going to move this to the side. I'm going to run the stitch simulator, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And this flower is right here. And you can see that the outline does stitch completely around. So if my N doesn't overlap that, it's not going to be a problem with this design. However, that's something that you need to check if you ever make that kind of a change. So I like this size. I'm going to keep that. And now I need to delete this font that I want to replace. So I will come to the right hand side, scroll down, and you'll notice that the No Rain, No Flowers is one design. They are not separated. So I'm going to have to use a stitch simulator and break those words apart. So I will go to the stitch simulator, and we will run through until the words start stitching out. It starts with the No Rain, so we need to let that continue. And it jumps to the No Flowers. So when it jumps to the No Flowers, I will use the arrow key so that I can go back stitch by stitch and end at the very last stitch of the No Rain. So I will use the back arrow and just go stitch by stitch. And then it jumped back to the very last of the No Rain. So now I need to come up to this stop icon and select that, and I will pick a new color. I'm going to pick something completely different so you can see what happens when you break stitches. Let's use this purple, and then I will select OK. So everything after that stop changed to purple. So now if we look down on the right hand side, No Rain is one step and No Flowers is a second step. So now I can select the No Rain and hit delete on my keyboard, and it won't affect the other text. So now I just need to move this over and decide where I want it. I'm just going to eye it. I think that looks good. So if we look on the right hand side, the last two steps will be the text. Since we deleted the No Rain, it will stitch the No Flowers first. Then it will come down or go up and stitch the No Rain. Now I'm going to stitch these in the same color thread. The machine will stop after the No flowers because in the steps it is a different color. If I wanted them to just both stitch out at the same time without having to restart the machine, then I would need to change the colors to the same color and then color sort, and I'm not worried about doing that. The machine will stop and I will just lower my presser foot and hit go, and it will stitch out the No Rain. So I will do it in both the same colors. I hope that makes sense. There are a few more steps I need to do before I can save this block. Right now, the block and the text are two separate items. I need to select both of those, go up to Edit, and Group. And the reason I need to do that is because I need to now center it back to the background quilting. With the design selected on my Mac, I will hit the Command key and then click on the background quilting, and that will select both items. Now I will need to go to Utility and Align and Distribute. I will need to check Center and hit Apply, and then close. Now this design is centered in the quilting. I can drag it into the hoop wherever I want. It doesn't really matter. You can also come up, if you want a quick way to center a design in the hoop that you've moved, go to Utility and Center in Hoop, and it will be centered and ready to go. Now I will go to File, Save Stitch File As, name the block, save it in my Combined Files folder. I will move it to my USB and take it to my machine. I will hit Embroidery, go to my USB, and to my Combined Files folder. I will scroll down to find the block. I will hit Set, and then Embroidery. I will move my block down and to the left to save on Stabilizer.